It's muted. You didn't hear anything I said. Restart. It's been a long day. So you guys know about the news. Obviously, Lori is trying to get rid of the judge, which I don't think there's anything she can do to surprise me. I was gonna talk about it, but there's really nothing for us to really cover. She's saying that he is biased against her and her religious beliefs. And I don't know. Something else. Something we're gonna have to deal with for another, I guess, kind of like week or something. So if you don't know, we tonight are going to talk a little bit more about where Brandon's case falls into the timeline and how, if you really look at it, for me, I didn't realize until I guess later on for some reason when there was more hindsight that Brandon's happened also in 2019 alongside with every other event. So 2019 was the doomsday year basically. And it was a really hard time because everything unfolded later on. We found out things later and then everything pieced together once they found the kids. So what we're going to do tonight is talk a little bit about the fact that we are not that far out from this trial. The trial starts on next Monday. Jury selection is in 2 days. And we talked about this on our last live. We discussed how it's different for Brandon because he's going to be able to face her. What's really interesting for me, and the reason why our video is titled like New Charges, Old Patterns, is before we even get to the charges, before we even get to what's going on, you find out that she's already trying to dismiss the judge. She thinks that it's the judge's fault that she was convicted here in Arizona. And she thinks that she did a great job. And she thinks that and when I say she, we mean Lori, that she did a perfectly fine job and was able to present her case and that it was someone else's fault, per usual. I didn't think it was worth, honestly, for us to cover in a long video. There's nothing more to add to it. There's not really any substance to what she's saying, per usual. And so I thought we'd just cover it before we get started because it is relevant to what we're talking about today. So with that being said, I want to go back a little bit and give you guys some dates. So in 2019, July 11th is when my dad's life was taken by Alex and Lori. Then you fast forward to September. September 8th to 9th is when Tylee was taken, and September 23rd is when JJ was taken. October 2nd is when they attempted to take Brandon's life, and on October 18th is when they took Tammy's life, or 19th, I want to say. That's a lot to happen in a year. There was obviously a plan, and there was obviously probably a lot more people who would have been added to this list. What hurts me the most is that this is my family. These are people that I know and love. And this happened when I think I was 22 in 2019. Excuse me, I was 22 in 2019. And I didn't even find out about Tylee and JJ until I was 23. It's a really hard thing to explain to people, but June 9th was when I found out about Tylee and JJ. And I give you these dates because these dates mean something. For Brandon, I'm assuming it feels the same way. There's almost like this horrible anniversary that you're living through. And when we back up to that time, I did not understand the group's involvement. I did not understand how involved, because I didn't know. I didn't know about Melanie and Lori and Chad and Alex and whatever his wife's name is, Zulema. Okay. So I go back to that point of thinking of what it was like in 2019. And honestly, I feel pretty oblivious because I was so caught up in the moment. We were trying to raise Riley. It was really hard in our own lives. We were doing our own thing. There was all these things happening. And the next thing you know, Charles is gone. And then Lori leaves. And then the kids are missing. And I mean, it was a hard time. So I bring this up. Well, I got to bring the cursor back over here. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. I bring all this up because what I want to talk about tonight is we're going to talk about what happened. We're going to watch the video. This was actually Nate posted this video on his last video that they talked about on the morning of what happened to Brandon. This is just the police showing up to the door. Okay. The reality is, again, Lori can't run from this. She's going to face this as her own lawyer, which means she's probably going to, I'm going to say, I think Brandon is probably at some point testifying. And unfortunately, that means that he has to talk to Lori and she's going to ask him some stupid questions. And I don't think you need an ability to see the future to know that that's going to happen. Okay, this isn't That's So Raven. So I think what's going to happen in this is I think Brandon's going to win. I don't really think there's anything disputable here. What I do find interesting is who else involved gets highlighted. And I think if I were Brandon, I would have a really hard time seeing everything up front. I think it would be hard for me to, because I really put myself in his shoes this time. And I really tried to think what it would be like to have someone had come after me, survive it, and then have to face them in court. And I can't. I just don't know what it's like to actually have the person who planned it and wanted it to happen stand up as their own lawyer representing themselves and try to speak to me and defend themselves and defend their actions, which she will. Yeah, really I try to really think about it in context. That would not be an easy thing because you know for a fact that she planned it. You know for a fact that she was texting about it. There's a bug on me. Motherfucker. It's got to be the worst feeling in the world. The betrayal of your own family. Brandon had, like I said, I met Brandon when I was 12. So he grew up in his life, right? From that point of getting married to having his kids. My mom. Oh, we got the guns and everything. But my mom was really, really close with his kids, and we were really close to his kids, and it's tough. It's tough. I try to have everyone understand the context of how realistic this is, how this is really going to be really hard for Brandon, and I bet it already is. I think another thing we have to remember is the effect it has on everybody else. I don't want to ever speak on something that I don't know, and I don't want to speak for anybody. I'm not going to speak for his kids, but I will say this, that I put myself in the same context as what happens with my kids. And knowing that your kids are going to grow up and find out about this stuff is a hard reality. It's a hard thing that you have to brace for. You have to be open to questions. You have to introduce it in a way that's appropriate for their age. And then as they age up, you be able to answer more questions. I think about that for him, though, and what he's going to have to deal with, too, and what he deals with on a daily basis. So I just want to give you that, guys, that context. Remember, going into this, that this has affected all of us. And this all really, no matter how much we separate it, it all kind of ties together. But I think sometimes we tie it too tight. And I think that's why I'm so glad that Brandon's getting his own trial now, because I really realized that as much as I want this to be over, I also realize that this is a completely separate moment that happened to Brandon, and we're talking inches away from losing his life. And that is a hard, harsh reality. So I'm going to just go over here, switch here real quick. I want to play the video for us. It's pretty long, but I think it's worth watching. This is going to give us more context. This is the video that they show of the police showing up to Brandon's 911 call. And I want you guys to just really, this is how I want you to put into context. Remember how, try putting yourself in his shoes for a second and listen to what he's dealing with and what he's going through in that moment. And that's what I want us to focus on. So I'm gonna grab the headphones and everything. Oh, we got the headphones and everything. I'm gonna pull this up and we are going to watch it. Okay. It's good to see you guys too. Pull this up. Whoops. Press the wrong button. You know, just really, I'm going real slow today, huh? All right, guys, let's watch this together.
Hi there.
Whoa.
So what's going on?
You guys hear it?
Okay, give me a little bit more than that.
Yeah, so I was just pulling in.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed a green Jeep Wrangler.
Okay.
Like a pukey green
Okay.
color. Had a Texas plate.
Mm-hmm.
I just moved in like a week ago, so I
Okay.
thought maybe it was just my neighbor.
Okay.
So as I was kind of pulling in, they lifted their like back window.
Okay.
Saw muzzle. They shot.
Are we talking a real gun,
I don't-
BB
It's got to
gun?
be like a BB gun or an airsoft.
Okay,
It was
so
loud.
they shot, then what happened?
It hit my window, and instead of turning in, it scared me
All
really
right, I'm gonna have
bad.
to listen to
Okay.
it on here.
I'm
Quietly.
getting shot at. So I
Whoa.
drove straight. So I
Okay.
drove straight really fast.
Okay.
Pulled around the corner, got my phone out, called 911, sat there, drove a little further up. I watched them come around the corner.
What do you mean coming around the corner? Coming around the corner where?
So I drove up there. I drove
Okay.
this street.
Gotcha.
this right, went a little further.
Okay.
Parked by, there's a park right there.
So he went northbound on that
Northbound.
street.
Turned right, and I watched him turn right down here, and I knew there was only one way out of this neighborhood.
Okay.
It was on Pecos and Wrecker, so I told that to the dispatcher.
Okay, so he was on Wrecker. He went.
Imagine how scary this would be. Thank you for saying I'm muted. You are sitting in your garage or sitting in your driveway. You're waiting for your garage to open. And this is the most normal morning. You just went to work out. And next thing you know, you see a car pop open. You see the muzzle of a gun. I mean, you have this much time to figure that out. And then you just hear a pop right next to your gosh dang head. And then glass shatters. I mean, can you fathom that? I would be terrified. I don't even know what I would do. I don't know if I tried to drive into the garage as fast as I could and get out of my car. He had the presence of mind to do something completely different. But for me personally, I feel like that would be unbelievably hard.
But you don't know if he went onto Pecos. You just know Wrecker Road.
Well, he didn't get on Wrecker. He stayed on this, and he came out on. He had to have gone out on Pecos because that's the only way.
Oh, he stayed in the neighborhood. He did not go out to Wrecker. I got you covered. Okay.
And I was nervous, so I was kind of waiting because I didn't want him to follow me.
So we don't know where, if he went on Pecos, left, right.
I don't. I didn't follow him anymore. I was a little uncomfortable.
Okay.
You'd be more than a little
Different
uncomfortable. I
information.
can't
I mean,
imagine trying
it's,
to explain this.
Left the neighborhood south toward Pecos and unknown from that location. Okay.
So it was really loud. So that's why I didn't
Uh-huh.
think BB gun. But it could have been maybe.
Well,
gun.
let's look. So you were just pulling into the driveway. They were sitting here.
Yeah. So I was.
So were they facing then west? Because if they opened the back.
Yeah, he opened the back, and there had been two people, I think.
Okay.
They were parked right here.
Right, facing that way.
That's the part that gets me. As he said, there had to be two people. There had to be two people. somebody drove and somebody shot. Because from what it sounds like is that somebody was Alex must have been laying on his stomach and trying to do this. I still, again, one thing, just had this conversation earlier, I think it was earlier today or yesterday, is trying to figure out. That is a good point. I'm going to get to this, Carmen. It's a good point. Trying to figure out why someone does something it takes a lot of your time and your breath away. Like you're really wasting your breath of just trying to figure out and get into the mentality of what's going on. But I try to look at it from Brandon's perspective, right? And then using Tylee's Jeep, I mean, that's a whole nother level of pain and knowing that she was gone, and then they take her Jeep and try to kill more people. I don't think the word sick really fits that. I think it's worse than sick.
Gotcha.
And so my window was like perfectly blind because I was kind of starting to pull in.
Okay, so you didn't totally pull in yet. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can see my window. It shattered, but it didn't go through, which means it couldn't have been a real bullet. I didn't think about that.
Oh. Whoa. Hello. Is that
Sorry, my
who's?
car automatically-
Okay, I'm like, what the heck?
Oh wow, I didn't see that.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. I don't know if she's just in a good mood. This is not to disrespect this officer by any means. I don't know. It sounds very casual, and I think I would be in a state of shock. I wouldn't even know what to do with myself. So again, not blaming her. I'm just saying that's something that I noticed for this video.
Yeah. Is this going to shut on me if I get close?
No.
Okay. Well,
Kelsey said she's staying
I
calm.
think that's a
Yeah, that makes sense.
BB gun.
That might help. And again, yeah, a first responder, never going to judge them. I've never been in their shoes. I think the one thing that would be really important is to try to be the calm one in any situation. But I don't know. I don't know. I've never been in this situation, so I can't say.
All right, so it looks like they shut up anything if you there. All right, so you just moved in. Okay, you just moved. Okay, so was this a vacant home at the time?
Previously, yeah.
Okay.
It's a rental.
All right. So you're the owner though, right now? Or you still? You're okay. So you're just renting it. Did the owners of the house? Can I open?
Yeah.
Is this how do you open this door? Go ahead. Ah, look at you.
Sorry.
That's pretty sweet.
Makes a lot of sense, right?
Anyway, did the owners of the house say anything to you who was renting the house before you or anything? Do you have any enemies? Anybody that you?
Just went through a divorce. There was some crazy stuff that happened with her and killed her husband, but I would hope that has nothing to do with this.
Okay.
Imagine that just happened a few months ago, and then this happens to you. You're going through a divorce. You just moved into a new house. I mean, bro, it's so hard. Like, I can't put myself in his shoes, but it hurts to hear.
Did you live here in the valley before? Where'd you move from? I'm sorry?
I've lived here for 10 years.
Okay, so where'd you move from? Here in Gilbert
I just
or?
sold the house over on Quinn, just right by that.
Okay. And no issues at work, no issues, enemies or anything? Okay.
Other than the only people that I could even think of would be that group. But,
The family, your ex-wives?
Imagine and then you have minutes between that, and the first thing comes to your mind is that's the only people I know they would do that. That alone right there shows you mentally how hard that would be. That would be because you're going through your mind, who could have done this? Who would have tried to shoot me? And then next thing you know, the first thing comes out of your mouth is family.
All right. It's kind of weird. All right, let me grab my camera and get some pictures. All right, so you were coming here. Did it look like a long rifle? Did it look like a rifle type?
Yeah, it looked like a rifle or something. Like there was a muzzle. There was like some kind of a muzzle thing on it.
Mm-hmm.
And they just lifted up the back gate and shot.
Okay. So they were shooting this way. Okay. All right. Were you about right here?
Right here.
Okay.
Saw the tailgate lift up.
Yeah.
Pointed the gun at me. Shot.
Okay. So it would have went.
Heard a loud boom.
Yeah.
My window shattered, and then I just.
Right. I'm trying to figure out the trajectory. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Okay. There's nothing.
It's stuck in there.
You think so?
Absolutely.
That's what I was wondering, but I don't see. It's got to be back in here. I'm not touching it. Anyway.
Who's pissed off at you?
Now, the green you're talking about, are we talking that type of green?
Like a hunter green?
Like a pukey green.
Okay, that's kind of more of a pukey green. Are we talking a chartreuse? I know it sounds like got a gazillion colors, green.
Let me just try to find it on my desk.
Look at your nest.
Oh,
Oh shoot, he's got a video.
do you have your, is that your car registered to you?
Oh, he has a Nest video of it.
Your registration? Okay, I'll just get all your information off of that real fast. So what would you say, how many minutes before you called us did this happen?
I just called right as soon as it happened.
Okay, fantastic. Now, were you able to, because you're coming in, they're facing that way, so you're not going to be able to see. When they passed you, when you were parked, were you able to see any description of these people? Is it a guy, a girl, anything? Okay.
I was trying to make sure I had enough distance in case they shot at me.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, what do you do? Someone's shooting you. You have no idea what to do. It's, I mean, I just can't, dude.
And you said you saw, when you saw, you could see the barrel. You think it was a long rifle, not a handgun?
Yeah, and it had like some kind of like a silencer or something on it.
Okay.
That's why it's like maybe it wasn't a gun because it was so loud.
Okay.
Can I sit down?
Sure, sure. Do you have I was going to say, do you have a chair or something that we can get you?
I have some chairs. I just want to sit down.
Okay, sure, no problem at all.
It's kind of hitting me, you know.
Is there anybody else here? Are you the only person that lives here? Is there anybody here that?
My kids live here with me.
Okay, no other adults?
Dude, this is, I can feel the weight of that. I can feel the weight of just his pain, his tangible pain, the fear, because you're running on adrenaline probably right off the top. Yeah, so Nest, guys, is like a Ring camera. It's security camera of, I'm assuming, I don't know everything. I'm just assuming that that's what he means. A Nest would be like some type of security camera. So yeah, there's some type of footage or something of that nature where he actually had it on camera in some way. So if it was close enough to their house, it would have shown it. That's what a Nest is.
Okay, is there somebody we can call to come here to be with you?
Yeah, in a minute.
Okay, you go ahead and you take your time, whatever you need, okay? Can I get you a bottle of water?
Gosh dang.
I got one over there. I'm fine. I just want to.
Sure, no
Is there
problem
anybody
at all.
else here with you, buddy?
No.
Nobody else is here at the house? What do you do for a living?
I own a couple businesses.
Okay.
I know I have a lot of questions. I apologize. Is it a 2-door or 4-door Jeep Wrangler?
Looks like a 2-door.
All right. I'm going to get some maps and stuff like that. I'm going to be making some notes, so just hang tight, okay?
All right, so that is just a portion.
All right, Nate. Well, here's the deal. I just wanted to show you guys that part more than anything, because the more that I research on different cases, the more that I think about all these different people, you just have to realize that the human side of this is really hard. The human side of what Brandon's going through is very, very difficult. And I'm going to answer this right here. Yeah. I think that's because it was calculated by somebody who knew his schedule. That's why it was the way it was. I think that they knew exactly what time he would be alone. I think they were probably watching him. It's disgusting. And this is what we've talked about in all our past videos with psychopaths, with the sociopath side, all this stuff. The reality is that what happens is once people do this stuff, like the thing that's so frustrating about Lori, and the reason why we talked about it in the beginning of the video, is she's so aware of what she's doing. And now that she's gotten to this point, she's having to pretend like she didn't know anything. And she's doing it to herself. She's putting herself in this position where she's telling herself these things. But at the end of the day, this was calculated by multiple people. Now, this is going to sound very detached, but this is what's been going through my mind, is the ultimate shot caller here, the person calling the shots, right? I don't think it was one person anymore. I used to think it was like Chad came to them with these revelations, or someone came and said, I had this epiphany. And guys, I know it's not epiphany. Okay. Just, I want to make it clear. You guys kill me in the comments sometimes for stuff. Someone comes up and says, I have this epiphany. Okay. And says, the spirit told me, God told me, whatever BS they pitched each other and said, this is what I think it needs to be. What you have to look at is Brandon would have been the third spouse of someone in that group that they would have taken the life of for their money. And that's what it is. Right. Ray's like, what the frick? Yes. Michael Scott says epiphany. So I say epiphany because it's just funnier. Yes, epiphany. I say epiphany as a joke. That's why I have to clarify, or else I get killed by people who are like, what are you talking about? I know it's epiphany, guys. Come on. I'm just being funny. But now I realize that this was way more of a collective group effort. And whoever they had in their way for whatever they wanted as a group became so convenient that that person happened to be dark. They happened to be bad. They happened to be in the way. They happened to have money. They happened to have some type of benefit from their death. So what's interesting is they conveniently marked people as dark, that whoever they could go at and take something from was dark. It was a very convenient list. And so you have to look at it from splitting into different pieces, like the religious side and then the criminal side. And then they just blurred those lines. And I think what really truly happened was they all got together. They all got married really quickly. They all thought that the world was going to end. They all thought, like, they all kind of collectively had the same ideas. And for some reason, they just thought there was no consequences. And I think, if I'm being honest with you and calling it from what I've seen, I think it's because they really did think the world was going to end in some way, maybe in the way we know it. I'm gonna answer Brandon on this one. Colby, do you think they would have killed more if Alex didn't die and they never got caught? 100%. I don't think they've probably thought they were invincible for a while. So they probably would have been more on a tear if they had the time. And I've learned something about people like this. I've learned people, once people get to that level and change over and switch from a mentality of normal to taking lives and stuff, they usually will go as far as they possibly can. And it's not something that you really only do once or twice in their case, obviously. I think that once they got past and got money, I don't think they would have stopped. I think they would have gone at anybody that they didn't like. I think anybody who went against them in any way, shape, or form would have been on that list. And I think that they just would have kept going for revenge at that point because they would have been unchecked. Now, they did it. If you really look at it, it was a very, very quick gap. You have what happened with Charles, and it's really hard, but they don't care about that. They don't care about it at all. That's what the first step was for them. But then everything was between September and October. 3 deaths and 1 attempted murder in literally 2 months. So it was not like we had a super long period of time. And I think that more people would have been gone 100% because they had no limit and no one. I think that they thought they were invincible already. So that's really what it would have been. And it was, you have to understand, 2019 in that condensed time, you have from July to October. That's not a long gap to do what they did. What really hits me too is the impact of not only just this case in my life, but this case that reaches out to the masses of people and how we've all understand it. And unfortunately, but also kind of by God's will, connected and been able to turn something from a negative to a positive as far as learning how to heal and grow. The reality is what hits me the most is that there's a lingering stain from this forever. And this is always going to affect our families. This is always going to affect the history of our families. And they took away the history that would be made from other members of our family, all for one central theme, which is money and then their own selves. So they put that above all things. And I think when you have to realize that they didn't have any remorse, I don't think any of them have spent time trying to repent or become better. I don't think that they want to. And I don't think that they would have stopped. And it's just that simple. And it's not something that, it's something that I used to really get really worked up about and say, I just don't understand. How could someone do this? How can this be possible? How could people get to this level? How could you possibly turn on your own family? And then I started researching evil and people who do evil things. And the more and the deeper I got into it, it really hit me that the people who do this level of stuff, when they take everyone's lives, it just really, they don't care, and they're not repentful, and they're not up at night thinking about it. So I think the reality is what we do going forward in this is, again, while we're talking about this, try to remember from the human side what the impact of this really is for Brandon, then his children and his family members, his mom, his dad, like people in his life. And that's what we try to focus on here, is to be supportive of the people who are still being affected by this on a regular basis. If I'm being honest with you, I don't know how I'll react this time. I'm going to listen to this case from start to finish. I'm going to watch every moment of it with you. We're going to talk about it and we're going to go through it. And it's going to be a different experience. But I've had to prep since 2020 to get to this point now where we could talk about it. That's the point, though, is that we're growing together and we're growing into a better and better community that wants to do better. And that's what these type of people should make us want to do. Looking at the actions of Lori, looking at the actions of other people, people make mistakes, and then there's really bad choices, and then there's evil choices, and then there's like that next level of like what they've done. Our point is we just want to be better. We need to do better, and we should try to be better, and we should try to be supportive of people who are suffering. And right now, I'm sure Brandon's really going through it, and I'm trying to be here for him, but I want to just keep reminding the community to keep throwing your love and your prayers for Brandon. He's going to have to put up with the situation for a couple of days, but this is closing the book on what happened to him. And I think that we need to remember that this affects his whole life and this affects his family. So I just wanted to say that part too. But going into how this is the same and how it's still the same point is old patterns. Okay, I wrote this down for you guys. Old patterns is rejection of accountability, the manipulation and the lies, the spiritual justifications for violence, and the family targeted for resisting control. What's interesting is these all apply, obviously, but this also applies to what we're going to see in court. Court is next week, fully starting. We have to understand that this is the same old song that we just watched. And I think she's going to get the same type of, she's going to give the same type of performance for the jury. She's going to complain about the judge. She's going to file all kinds of motions. She's going to make it all about her, and Lori's going to soak up every minute of this. This is her absolute last hurrah, if you want to call it that. This is her last opportunity to be noticed, seen, heard in any capacity. And I think she's going to try to make the most of it because that's her goal. And that's what she wants. She doesn't care about Brandon, obviously. And that's why we have to understand and be supportive of him. I just wanted to give you guys, again, just wrapping up real quick before we get into next week. We'll go over that on this at the end of the video, but I just want to remember that this is going to be the closing of a very, very long book in a way. I don't know if you ever fully just heal. I don't know what that looks like down the future. I just know that I've healed a lot now. And I know that going forward, I want everybody who's been affected this to heal. So let's just keep remembering, no matter where we are in the conversation, what our goal is, and it's to heal. Talking about it can be healing, and facing it for what it truly is, for me, I think is the healing part too. It's just addressing it for what it is and the reality of what it is. And I'm sure we're going to learn a lot in this trial, and I'm sure it's going to be very hard, and that's okay. That's okay. We will be live streaming probably almost every day. I do plan on going at least once and maybe at the end, so maybe twice technically. I will let you guys know when that's happening though. But we'll live stream it on, I think it starts on the 2nd. So that whole time we'll just watch it together on live, and we will just talk through it, and we'll go through it. So I think it'll be good for us, and we'll just talk about the reality of the situation as we hear it. But I appreciate you guys. Yes, it's going to be this Monday. Allie's right. It's going to be this Monday. Jury selection starts on the 30th. And it's just jury selection. The actual trial starts on Monday. And from what I have seen, it's not going to even be as long as her last one. And Brandon deserves that. Brandon deserves this, and he needs this for his own sake. But I think this is going to be heavy because, or maybe jury selection starts tomorrow. Maybe you're right. I thought it was on the 30th. I'll have to look again. But I think this is a very, very long, horrible, nightmarish book that needs to be closed. And this is it. This is going to be it. So One more round, Ray. One more round for you, brother. You've been a trooper. Love that guy. But this is it. This is going to be it. So I will let you guys know on the community tab what we're doing for the 30th. And next time you see us, we'll be in the new studio. And that's going to be great. It's going to be nice. And we're ready to move. And I don't know if you can tell, I'm a little tired today. We got boxes everywhere. We got everything ready to go in the next couple days. So we'll have the new studio set up. It'll be nice. And once that happens again, we'll be able to kind of get back on track and not be in the middle of moving. But I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you guys for your love and support of our family and just being here and just being such a great community. I love you guys and appreciate you. Like I said, I'll keep you guys up to date on the community tab as much as possible so you know, and make sure that you guys know what time we're going live, and you guys will have all of that information as fast as possible. So love you. Thank you. Have a great night.